Hey everyone, Jeff here from Films at Home, and I recently went on a trip to Martha's Vineyard where they shot my favorite movie, Jaws. So in this video, it'll be a little different. I'm going to take you through some of the real-life filming locations from my favorite movie. So the first scene I'm showing here is actually Chief Brody at his house. Now you'll see as he gets in the truck and pulls away, we'll get a pretty good view of how the house looked in the movie. Now, since the movie has been released, that house has actually been torn down and a new house has been put in its place, which you'll see right here. So the new house is actually the one right there with the dock, which I assume is the same dock that was there in the movie where his kids are out in the boat. But that is the new house, and this is the road that Chief Brody drives down in that scene. So this next scene is just a few minutes later when Chief Brody is leaving the police station. This police station is not actually a police station. It's just a residential neighborhood in the town of Edgartown on Martha's Vineyard. But I managed to get a shot of it from across the street. You can see the same white picket fences are there. Here's the street that he walks down in that shot, and then down to the brick, which goes downtown. So then, as he heads downtown, this is downtown Edgartown, Martha's Vineyard, and he heads into the hardware store. This hardware store is actually not a real hardware store. It's now a restaurant called the Port Hunter. But then once he comes out of the hardware store, he's back on the side of the street. And I was able to get a pretty good view of this because this is essentially unchanged from when they shot the film. You can see here, there's the brick building on the left, and then over here in front of us is where he's actually standing when the truck pulls up. And then as I stopped over to the other side of the street, this is basically from his point of view, right? The truck pulls up right here, brick building is on the right, and then you can see all the way down to the water. So this next scene takes place on the Amity Ferry, which in reality is the Chappaquiddick ferry. Those kids over there are actually on the island of Chappaquiddick. Now, this is a real ferry that you can take out of Edgartown, and it brings you over to the island of Chappaquiddick, which is literally a 2 or 3 minute boat ride across on this little ferry. It can take up to 3 cars at a time, plus people. You pay a little fee to go across. But this is a pretty pivotal scene in the movie and one that a lot of people remember. Now, if you know Chappaquiddick well, there's also more to the story of the ferry outside of Jaws. Chappaquiddick is the island that they're heading towards right now. So when you're on the ferry, that's where you ride back and forth from Edgartown to Chappaquiddick. Now, Chappaquiddick is the island where Ted Kennedy had his accident, where the woman died in his car. It went off a bridge, submerged. Obviously, he ran from the scene of the crime. He got into a lot of trouble, probably not as much as he should have gotten into. But you'll see them pulling up to Chappaquiddick here. And so there's another little interesting fact there. And if you've seen the movie Chappaquiddick, they also filmed right here as well. So it's pretty important. And given that, I obviously had to jump on. So I got in my car. We rode this across from Edgartown to Chappaquiddick, and you'll see the other ferry coming across. These things run all day, every day from like 6 a.m. to midnight. They're constantly going back and forth. And they also were the principal filming boat for Jaws. And here's just a quick shot of the actual load-on dock. Now, this next scene takes place in a really nice, beautiful part of the vineyard called Aquina. That billboard there, they actually had to put up and take down every time they wanted to shoot it because it's a very tourist hot spot. So right now, Chief Brody and the mayor, they're talking in front of this lighthouse that's called Gay Head Lighthouse. That's right up there on the Aquina Cliffs. So I highly recommend it if you ever go to Martha's Vineyard. First of all, it's an excellent view, but it's also a filming location for Jaws, and the lighthouse shows up in a few other shots as well. Now, where Richard Dreyfuss is just looking over, that's basically what he was sitting in front of is what I have here. These are the Aquina Cliffs. They're a huge drop-off, really nice. On a sunny day, it's much better, but I got what I got. And then this is the lighthouse here. This is Gay Head Light, still standing, and you can go up and walk next to it. So this next scene is probably pretty familiar to Jaws fans, but this is where the shark gets in the pond. And we have the scene over at the Jaws Bridge. So in Martha's Vineyard, there is what they still call the Jaws Bridge. You can see it in the background here in the back right behind the boys. And then in a second, it'll blow up and you'll see it much larger. So that is a main bridge on the vineyard. People drive over it every day. They jump off of it, even though they're not supposed to. There's a sign that says not to. That's not stopping anybody. Obviously, even Chief Brody will jump over the railing. But this is a very, very popular spot for people to jump, for people to swim. It is a nice, calm area. And I've stood right on that beach where he is running right now. So the footage that I have here, this is from that beach where Brody just jumped over and ran off to. You can see the rocks along the other side, and this is where the shark attack would have happened over here to the left. And then from the other side, this is just from the road, but the bridge from the right side, this is the kind of pond area where the shark originally comes from. Now, this next scene is really the last scene that's, kind of shot on Martha's Vineyard. So you see on the back left here, that's a Coast Guard station, that white building. Remember that with the red roof? But this is Menemsha Harbor, so it's still a very active fishing village in Martha's Vineyard. I highly recommend going to check it out. Really, really cool spot. It looks almost exactly the way it looked 45, 50 years ago, even today. It still has a bunch of these kind of Cape Cod fishing shacks with the weathered shingles. It still has the fishing boats. Very great vibe there. So you can eat there, and it's a lot of fun, but really cool to see in some of these shots. You'll notice like there's still just these old docks, old shacks. Definitely see a lot of the commercial fishing boats. Still a very active fishing village. So you'll see all the different boats from different areas. Really, really nice water. There's actually a beach down here as well. So again, highly, highly recommend checking it out. Here you'll see some more boats, and then the Coast Guard station briefly in the background, if you remember that from the previous shot with the red roof. Quint's shack is actually not here anymore. It was torn down after filming, but the location you can basically stand on top of, and you can actually eat right next to it at a restaurant. There's another little shack there, which is kind of cool. And then here's the Coast Guard station again from a little further away. Sorry for the quality here. The wind was bad, but that's that red roof you see in the background. So that is it, guys. I really appreciate you watching this. It was a lot of fun to make while I was on vacation. Martha's Vineyard, I highly, highly recommend, especially if you're a Jaws fan like me. But appreciate you all watching. Hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll talk to you soon. Thanks.